Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today got a little project. We're going to be working over here on the horizontal milling machine, and the project for today is I'm actually going to be machining one of my little cast iron straight edges that I've been selling. This is a 9-inch straight edge, and I got a customer that recently purchased one, but he requested if I could go ahead and pre-machine this and I kind of get it ready for scraping. So if you're not familiar, these are the straight edges that I'm having done over at Windy Hill Foundry. I've got them in 9-inch, 12-inch, and soon to be 18-inch sizes. And this is kind of a project. You know, you get it, you scrape it in, and actually use it as a project. And I usually sell these just as a raw casting, but I am going to be machining this one for my customer. Now, I'm going to do this, I think, primarily over here on the horizontal milling machine. Nothing to say you couldn't do this on a vertical mill, but I've found just through experience that this machine is just more rigid and can take more metal off. And doing some of this bigger face milling and stuff, it just tends to work better on this heavier mill. And typically what I will do is I'll come in and kind of lay this down flat on the table and put a face mill on the back up directly on the spindle and mill that side flat kind of as my first step. I've got the vertical or the universal head mounted on the machine right now, and I want to use this universal head with the face mill to actually machine the 45-degree angle on the front. So I think I'm going to leave it on and just put a face mill directly in here. I've already kind of got it in horizontal mode, and we'll just kind of face across the bottom, kind of like this right here, in this kind of setup. So again, I think we're going to do most of our milling here on this machine today and kind of get this thing knocked out. I've never done one exactly like this before, but we'll see how it goes. Let's get at it and get started. So I'm going to start by kind of tearing down the setup we had in here before. So I had this little 60-degree cutter that we were using for a couple of jobs. We cut some splines with it, and also did that tool holder, cut the spacings or the serrations on the bottom of that cutter. So let me get that out. I'm going to put this up. That's a good cutter. We'll probably use it again for something down the road. So I need to change out the tool that's in here. This has got a drawbar on the back that kind of holds that 40 taper tool in there. So let me go ahead and kind of knock that out of there. Let's see here. Need a little bit of room. I'm going to loosen up my overarms and we can move that head in and out a little bit. There we go. See what I can probably do. There we go, that broke it loose. And we'll just pull that right out. This is kind of overkill for what I need here, but I've got this 40 taper face mill. I'm gonna put that in there and we'll tighten it in and get it mounted up. So I'll just tighten that drawbar up and then we'll tighten the bolt there. That just draws that in, pulls it in nice and tight into that taper, and we got our tool mounted on there. I'm gonna go ahead and take this big vise off the table. We're gonna be using a different setup. I'm not gonna need it, and I just need to get it out of the way. So I'll just go ahead and unbolt it from the table, and this thing's heavy, but I can pick it up. I'm just gonna carry it over here to the bench. Go ahead and pull this head back about as far as I can take it, which is about right there, and retighten down my overarm support. All right. So to set this up for the bottom, we can build the bottom. I've got a bar here. This is just a piece of stock, and I'm gonna clamp it down on this so that it's kind of sitting up off the bottom, and I can just come in here and mill this bottom flat. Now, I'm just gonna kind of use my ways to kind of set this up more or less straight across, and we'll just butt that up on the bottom there. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll line it up on the top here to kind of get that level here. This is, once we get that surface established, that will become our reference surface, but until then, we'll just kind of work with it. And then I'll take some clamps and we'll clamp straight down here. So let me get some clamps going, some studs to bolt to. All right, so again, I'm just kind of checking this bar to make sure it's kind of even with the back of the way. I'm just kind of getting it more or less straight. And then I'm running the top of this flush with that bar, so that should kind of transition. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a rough casting. There's nothing machined on this to kind of reference off of right now. So we're just kind of getting it close, and we'll clamp this down. All right, and that should be rigid enough to machine that bottom side. I'll bring my work over here. And we'll raise the table up. Want that up high enough to mill across the bottom, but not hit the table down below. Let's see. I'll be cutting on that front edge. So I think I want to be milling down, so we'll come in this way. And probably a little bit fast on the RPM. Let me slow it down just a little bit. All right, I'm going to start that up. I'm just going to bring this in till we just start to cut. And from there, 4, 6, 8, that's about 100 thousandths taking off that cut, and let it roll across here. Right now I'm just barely kind of hitting the bottom there. There's a kind of a seam there where the two parts came together that was ground off, and it's just kind of really knocking that off and not much of anything else. But we're going to let it go all the way across, and then we're going to make several passes until we kind of get that machined out. When I'm machining these castings, I purposely have got a lot of metal in there. We want to take off. We don't want to just barely skim it. Typically, this outside part of this is going to be hard. We want to get up underneath that to get into some softer metal for scraping. So, I like to take off, between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch of metal to kind of get into that softer metal for ideal scraping. And it looks like we're kind of dragging on the upside over here. Not a problem. So we're just going to have to go all the way across. And here we go. All right, we're coming back across this with just a really light pass, just to try to get a little bit smoother finish on it. I had a little bit of vibration on that heavier cut, so I'm just taking about 5 thousandths off this pass, and I think we'll have this bottom done after this cut. we'll see what she looks like here in just a minute. I will note that I put a third clamp on this just to make sure it wasn't moving around. But I think this will be our last pass on the bottom. All right, let's pull this out of here and see what she looks like. From what I can tell just looking at it from the back side there, I think it's going to be pretty good. And there we go. I'm happy with that. That looks really, really nice. So just looking, I think next what I want to do is actually machine this backside, and I'm just going to use kind of the same setup. Just clamp this straight down on this, and we'll just get that trimmed up. All right, we're going to start things up. Feed that into it a little bit. And let's see, I think I'll do about 50 thousandths on my end feed here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Lock the table back down. And we'll let her feed across. This backside doesn't really get scraped or anything, but I do like to have a machine surface back there. I'm not going to worry about taking off a whole lot of material. I just want to basically just get it cleaned up. So now we've got the bottom and the back machined on this. And I think next I like to also machine the ends of these just to kind of get those cleaned up and have a nice surface on those. Let me see if I can come up with something to rig these up where we can go ahead and do those while we're in this position to do it in. So I'm working on, I want to get this front edge kind of square with the back. And what I'm doing, how I'm doing this is I've got this big cube. This is a ground cube that's 90 degrees on all corners. It's actually a grinding fixture. It's extremely accurate, more accurate than I probably really need for this. And I'm just kind of butting this up against the table. I've got my block pretty much parallel with the edge of the table. And then I'm pushing the straight edge up against this. And guys, this is not a, this isn't going to be a grinding fixture or anything like that. So, this is going to be get us square enough for the application here. So I'm going to take that out of the way now. And I'll go ahead and get this clamped down on the other side as well. And I think we can just trim those ends off. And when we do that, I'm just going to flip it around. We'll do the exact same thing and do the other side as well. All right, I'm going to feed in until we just touch off there. Come out and do about another, just do 50 thousandths, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 right there. And we'll cut across that. All right, I think we got her. I'm going to check that out, make sure it cleaned up, and then we will flip it around and do the other side. Same setup, just flipped it around, get this side machined now. Again, just kind of feed that in until it touches off. And then I'm gonna go in 50 thousandths. 20, 40, 50 right there. And let's machine across. All right, I'm gonna make sure that cleaned up. It didn't sound like, it sounded like it may not have. I may need to take this a little bit more. Let me get around here in the back side where I can look at it. And yes, it actually did clean up. So just barely, but that's all we need. So we'll call that good. So we got the bottom, got the back, and the two ends. So we got 4 sides surfaced on this. The last side is the dovetail, which needs to be at a 45-degree angle. And to do that, I'm going to actually rotate my head around to 45 degrees. And I may have to use a different cutter. This one may be a little bit too big just because we've only got a little small area there. I'm going to see if I got something else I can put in here to mill that with and go from there. So let me see what I can do, and we'll come up with a solution here. So I think I'm going to start by actually getting my head set up on 45 degrees so I can kind of see what's going on, see what I need to do a little bit better. So to do this, I'm going to have to basically turn this up 90 degrees and then turn the head down 45 degrees, and that'll get me at the angle we need. So let me start by loosening these up so that we can rotate this around. All right. That's sitting right there. Well, I'm going to have to do this in steps, it looks like. Got a little interference on the back here. I'm going to have to turn that head, but I need to get it up a little bit first. Let me just turn it up a little bit. I'm going to loosen up my bolts on the bottom here. This to turn. Let's see. All right, let me get this spun around to 45. I'm going to have to do this on steps, it looks like. I'm real close. I'm not quite there. All right, that's right on 90 degrees. Right there. Tighten down all these bolts. Now, I need to work on getting this one to 45 degrees. And I got a little problem here. My drawbar is a little bit too long. I really just need a bolt on top of here rather than that long stud sticking out the back. So I'm going to probably have to tilt this back toward me again and come up with a bolt rather than a threaded stud going up into that back. Let me bring it back forward, and I'm gonna have to pull this out and come up with something different there. All right, I've got a bolt I think will work. So this is a 5/8 inch bolt, 7 inches long. Let me screw that in. I really wish I had one about 6.5, but I don't have one that size. But I think this one will work. Yep, I think it's going to work just fine. So let's tighten that up. problem before was that it was just sticking out too far on the top and it wouldn't allow it to swing back here. But I think we'll have clearance here. Let me go back to 45 degrees, and yes, we got clearance. There's nothing hitting back there, so I think we're fine. And that's 45 degrees right there. All right, let me see what we can do about getting this set up on here where we got enough room to clear everything. So let me do a little bit of playing here. I think I can pull this head back a couple of inches, and to get it farther back, pull the table forward a couple of inches, and hopefully have this where it's actually cutting off the back of the table, where I can get that in here without having to go to a smaller diameter face mill, because I don't think I've got a smaller one. I'll look and see if I do, but I'm gonna try to use this one if I can. Let me see what we can come up with. I've dug around over here and found another face mill. It's actually kind of a big end mill, but I can use it as a facing mill on the bottom. Smaller diameter, and I think that's gonna really help me out. This one here is just too big. It needs to kind of go off the end of the table. This one right here I think will do a better job for the job we got. So I'm gonna have to lower the table down. I'm gonna have to tilt the head back up to get the bolt out, change this out, but and then reset this back to 45 degrees, but we'll get her done here. Let's lower that table down. All right, I think we can just, again, we're going to use this bar here to kind of pick the part up off the front there so that it's kind of overhanging on the front so that the cutter can go down below it. And I'm just going to line this up on the way here, and then or on this slot, we'll line the back of the tool up on that. And that's going to get us close enough. Again, these sides don't have to be perfectly parallel or anything like that, but that should give us a nice surface to go across. So let me get this bolted down. I think we'll be ready to do some cutting here. All right. I think we got our work holding done. I'm going to just go around this. Feel these back edges. Everything feels pretty good. I'm happy with that. So let's get ready to go cut across that front. All right, I think we're ready to go here. I've got my cutter going here. I think what I'm going to do is just raise the table up until we just touch in there. All right, we're just kind of touching right there. And then I'm going to come up about, let's just do 50 thousandths, I think. All right, that's 50 thousandths right there. And let's let it roll out across there. We're going to make multiple passes here. I just want to see how it's going to cut. I think we could very easily take 100 thousandths on the depth. I just wanted to kind of check it out. I'm just going to let that run all the way across, and we'll come back and make another pass. It's touching in some places, not in others, but that is a rough casting across that surface, so it's not perfectly flat. That's what we're doing right now, is machining it and making it perfectly flat. Next pass, we'll be taking a heavier cut. I'll raise my cutter up. Tell you what, we'll come up 100 thou. And let's bring that across. Oh yeah, cutting it like butter. We'll let that one cut across. basically I got to machine this down until I get this to a point down here in the bottom. So we got a fair amount of material to cut off. Again, I do like to cut off, at least 1/8 of an inch off of these things, if not 1/4 of an inch, just to get it up underneath that hard surface so that when you go to scraping, it's a lot softer and easier to scrape and really more of the cast iron we're looking for. So, all right, we'll let this roll on. All right, let's do another pass. All right, let's do another one. And probably be close on this one. I'm just going to go all the way across this one just in case I get a little bit of a, the back side of that cutter maybe just barely touching the surface, just so we have a constant surface finish. And I think we're done. All right, well there's that front side machine. That turned out really nice. There's the bottom. Again, turned out nice, and of course we got the outside edges there machined as well. And all in all, happy with the results. We're going to call that one done. It is ready to go. And just like that, we've got this thing all milled out over here on the horizontal milling machine using the universal head. Happy with how this works out. I'm really kind of enjoying using this universal head. This is really kind of becoming in many ways, my go-to setup here. I really like the stoutness of this big K&T mill over the vertical mill. It's just got so much more mass to it, so much more muscle to it. It just does a really good job, particularly when you're doing face milling and things like this, making bigger cuts. It just really excels at that. And it's been a lot of fun using this machine for this job. But anyway, this part is ready to go out to my viewer. Like I said, he's purchasing this casting, and he wanted to use this as a project for scraping. And hopefully we're going to have some more of these castings available here real soon from my foundry, Windy Hill Foundry. They're actually working on getting some right now, and looking at possibly even doing a little scraping class coming up this spring, late winter sometime. As soon as we get some straight edges in and have some people come in, I'm thinking about having a weekend class or do some hand scraping only, just hand scraping, no power scraping, teach the basics of scraping, and let everybody take home a straight edge. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email. I'll put you on the waiting list or the interest list, and maybe if there's enough interest, we can do several of those classes over the next little while. So, all right, there we go. This one's ready to roll, and that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. As always, a big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon and PayPal. We really help that out. It really makes a big difference. Lets me be able to take the time to shoot these videos and bring everything to you. And with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, as always, thanks for watching.